today's recipe is Betty's Fabulous Pecan Pie. We'll start with the filling. So I need a mixing bowl, fairly large mixing bowl, and I will put 1 cup of sugar. And I need 1 cup of dark syrup. You can see I've got some Karo syrup sitting here to just demonstrate. And over here I've got the white granulated sugar. So you'll know exactly what I'm putting in here. The next item that I will add is going to be 2 tablespoons of flour. This happens to be self-rising, it doesn't matter, just flour, 2 tablespoons. Now also I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt, and that has nothing to do with the self-rising nature of this flour. When it's self-rising, it has some additives such as salt. The salt is in here because this is such a super sweet dessert. It needs that little edge which the salt provides. So at this point I want to do some stirring. Let me move these away just a hair so this can be closer to me. And just stir until blended. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the history of this. When I was in college and would go home for the weekends, which has been practically 40 years ago, or maybe more than 40 years ago. I've been married almost 40 years. But I really had an interest in recipes of all types, and I discovered this recipe in a certain version. I changed it a little bit to be my own version, and my mother and I used this particular recipe all of the rest of her life, and I have never considered a different pecan pie recipe after using this one. I think this is absolutely the best. So now I'm going to put my spoon aside for a second, prop it in there, hope it doesn't fall over, well, I'll just set it on its side. I have some eggs here. I need 2 of them. I've got a little plate to put the shells in, but I need whole eggs, and I'll crack them on the counter, place them in, and then the mixture is sitting here because I'm going to mix them. After that, they need to be beaten into the mixture so that you do not see clumps of egg. So forgive me for having some noise going on here, but I'm going to do this until it's done. When it gets to the point where you see no more eggs separate from the mixture, you're through with those beaters. So let me take those off. Put them aside. Unplug this. It's gone. Next, I'm going to add some evaporated milk. It doesn't matter what brand it is, but you just need to open it and get out 1/2 cup. I think actually these hold 2/3 of a cup. Don't use all of it. So it's not a recipe that you can just be loose with. You have to follow the instructions and use the amounts that are designated. Let me get my spoon back, and I'm going to grab any extra that I lost from it as I come out with it and blend this together. So that's our evaporated milk going in the mixture. And then we have only a couple other things, and that would be 1 cup of pecan halves. You can see my bag here. These are planters. It doesn't really matter what brand you have. They just need to be in halves to look nice. They don't have to be in halves for taste, but for the looks, I like them to be in halves. The last additive here is pure vanilla extract. If I can make it over here, that's 1 teaspoon. And you can see the bottle here is just pure vanilla extract. Those are all the ingredients. Stir that together nicely. Those pecans always float up to the top, but that gives you a nice mixture that you're going to turn into a pecan pie. So let's go over to our pie shell. Notice that this pie shell, which is unbaked, does not have holes poked in it. sometimes you'll do that when you're going to bake a pie shell that's going to be filled with a cream filling after it's done. But we're baking that pie shell at the same time we're baking our pecan pie, and if it had holes in it, then the pie mixture would seep out underneath. It would turn black or brown. It would stick. It would be a real mess. So we're pouring it in now, and it will take all of it. It fits perfectly into this size of dish. And I'm generally pretty particular about my pecan pie, and I normally go through and turn every one of these over so that the top side is up, not the bottom side. I consider this to be the top side, and over here, that's the bottom side. I may have time to do that, but the next important step that I want to tell you is that before you put it in the oven, you need to protect these edges or they might get a little burnt. I always keep aluminum foil sheets in my kitchen pantry. You can get these from a warehouse store. They're meant for restaurants, I think, but I just keep them all the time. Otherwise, just regular aluminum foil. Cut it into strips and kind of crush it around until it will hold onto itself or onto the pie, and then you go for the next one. If you have to twist it at the end, that's fine, and overlap, that's fine. I'm going to work on this. Then I'm going to put this into a preheated 375-degree oven and let it bake for 50 minutes. I'll be checking before it's done, but I'll come back and let you see the finished product when it's done. It's been 40 minutes since I started baking the pecan pie, and I just came to check on it, and I looked under the foil and I could tell that the crust was done. I thought I might need to remove the foil and let it brown a little bit. As a doneness check, I put a toothpick in the center and it came out clean. So I know the pie is done after 40 minutes and the crust is nice and crisp. If the crust had not been ready, I would have given it another 5 minutes. But it's ready to go, and I'll clean up this mess and a toothpick, close the oven, and turn it off. And then I'll come back later after it's cooled and show you what a finished piece of pie looks like. My husband and I have been taste testing the finished pecan pie. Oops, I'm about to tear some off the crust. But you can see what the inside looks like. It turned out to be delicious. The top here, when you look at it, it looks very brown. It is not burned. It's just that the ingredients floating up to the top, being the dark Karo syrup, make it a very dark brown color. But it tastes delicious and it's wonderful.